welcome everybody to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. What's up, guys? Let's do it. This is going to be an action-packed live show.
I'm ready.
And man, we're happy to be back. Last week we were gone because it was Labor Day, so excited to be back and ready to get some sport karate and some martial arts talk with you because there's lots to talk about and lots of cool. We got some cool topics to discuss with you guys today. So
I think great ones.
Yo, Chris, and I know it's Monday Night Football time, so you guys can watch us while you're watching football or listen to us tomorrow.
Did it bother you that we didn't do the show last week? Did it bother you a little bit?
Yeah.
It bothered me, man.
It always bothers me when we miss an episode, man.
I know. So in case insiders are like, oh, they decided to take a week off. Like, I mean, you got families.
Yeah.
But it does bother me. It bothers us. I think this year, or maybe it was last year, I think we didn't miss one.
Yeah, last year I don't think. The year before we missed one. Or actually, no. If we missed anything, it would be like I was off, and then you would still go.
Yeah.
You were off. Yeah. So we never. Yeah, that's right.
The show must go on.
Right. So
the insiders never miss.
So I think it bothered me more because I went to the game and we lost, and that was really frustrating.
What game? What are you talking about?
I went to the Clemson versus Duke football game, right? Last Monday.
Oh, yeah, forget it. You get really into college. I don't.
And so myself and my mom are big Clemson fans. She's a Clemson alumni, right? My brother is a huge Duke fan and goes to a lot of Duke games. So we're literally sitting next to each other, my brother and I, different shirts, everything. And we're kind of more in like a Clemson section. And he is so happy. And I'm like so bummed. Like it was that bad. And they won and upset us. And so, yeah, but it was a fun experience overall. Always cool to go to different fields and everything. Got to go into Cameron for a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
See all the cool memorabilia of all the Duke stuff. So it was great, man.
I just don't really get into college athletics. Like at all. And I think it's really interesting, like the areas.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. The areas, right? ACC is huge here, right? I mean,
I know.
Basketball, football, everything. And then you get a little bit more Southern. It's all about football, man. It's all about SEC. That could have been bad.
That's interesting. So, like in Minnesota, they are very much. It's a fantastic place to live. Even if someone's like, I'm just going to go live there for a month, make it like September, and then you'll love it, right? Which we'll talk about stuff in September later on in the show. But there's like it's a bubble area. Like the whole state's a bubble, right? Mm-hmm. It really is. Like, they only get in to the Minnesota Gophers college athletics. Like that's it. Right. And they're the only area of the nation that calls the University of Minnesota the U. They actually call it the U.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But everywhere else, if you said that anywhere else in the country, they would think you'd be talking about the Miami Hurricanes, right? The U.
Exactly.
Right? But like in full sincerity, I didn't learn that until I really learned about the Miami Hurricanes. I was calling the Gophers the U forever because it's the only thing, right? And out here in the Chicagoland area, I'm just gonna tell you this. So football is just kind of okay here, right? Like even just like high school football, like it's just kind of okay. Basketball's another level. Right? It's another level. This is the place. If you play basketball, this is the place. Chicago is. But anyway, there's really there's Northwestern, but Northwestern, that's different, man. That's a private school. It's out there. It's not like in the city. It's not like in the Chicagoland area. It's in Evanston, which is like okay. Remember Home Alone? You know the house in Home Alone?
Yes.
That monstrosity of a mansion. That's in Evanston, Illinois. That's where that house is. Gives you an idea. And that's like not that far from the Northwestern like campus. So you're like, oh, That's the kind of area. Yeah, that's the
That's
kind of
the
area.
area.
So it's really not the same. Otherwise, or like Illinois, it's like, in Champaign, like that's forever
Right.
away,
That's forever away.
So
Yeah.
there's really not a lot of college athletics going on out here. So I never really got into it. I was kind of looked at it like, and you're still teenagers, right? I'm still
Yeah.
cheering on teenagers. This is a little strange. I'm in my 40s. Like, let's go, teenager.
I get you.
Wearing your jersey. Feels
That's, I
slightly
mean,
like
yeah.
a pedophile almost. You're wearing a little teenager's jersey, cheering him on, in the
That's
stands.
that's if you're
Paying
like
money
the
for it.
60-year-old guy or the 50-year-old guy that goes to every high school game. Like that's where it's a little all right. But there are people like that.
It is.
We're gonna piss a lot of people off in Texas and things like that. That
But,
like,
I had
you
guys,
know,
but I like those guys. I remember going to high school football games when I went to high school, and I saw some of those guys literally lived in the town. Like,
yeah,
they to where they grew up. They bought their parents' house, which was their grandparents and their
yep,
great grandparents. They never moved. And I'm like,
yep.
you know what?
It's
A
the kind
certain
of town
amount
I
of
live in.
tradition, kind of cool. Kind of
Yeah.
cool. You go to the same pizza place that's not that good, right? And you go to the one bar because it's open, you know? You go to Dean's Market because they've got 3 aisles in a grocery store, and that's it.
Dean's
That's your life. What a simple life to live. It's not the life I want to
Oh
live.
man.
What a simple life. Anyway, moving on.
All right. So before we get into our
What a
one
way
of
to
our
start.
topics, which we're going to be talking about upsets today, biggest
Yeah.
upsets in martial arts history. A lot of that was we've been talking about different things in the sport and putting a lot of things out on Facebook and stuff. But we had a big upset in martial arts this weekend when in UFC when Sean Strickland defeated Izzy Adesanya for the UFC middleweight championship, which that was a huge upset, and no one
I didn't
expected that.
see that
Everyone
coming.
thought that was going to be just a walkthrough, and I kind of had it in my mind. It's like, I don't know, man, this guy's just wild and crazy. He'll probably end up pulling something off. I just wouldn't be surprised. And somehow it did, man. It was awesome. Watching just um, you know, just some of the highlights and stuff. And what's cool too is that he was, last year, a couple years ago, he was training. He trained with Raymond a lot, and there's video of him and Raymond doing point sparring together, just having fun, and Raymond hitting him with the 360 back kick. So just this dude just went to a whole nother level, and it's cool to see people that no one gave a chance to pull it out, right?
I mean, I didn't give him a chance.
Right,
To be honest.
right.
But that's the thing. There's fighters like that, all right, if you allow them an extra opportunity, sure. I mean, if you give them an extra punch, like it's not like they have a chance to do
Right.
some damage, you know, and that's not incredibly different from our sport. Like,
No, no.
kickers are the like people who just like all they're gonna do is just pick their foot up. Like, yeah, if you let them keep doing it, they're not bad at that activity.
No,
So
no.
eventually they're going to land one. So if you just let them pick it up and chase, like it's a strategy, but they're gonna have to get tired, which
Yeah,
kickers do. But I mean, if you let them push you into a spot, like I mean, you're giving them extra opportunities that maybe they don't deserve, you know?
right.
And so there's fighters like that in full contact, 100%, but they do way more damage, than just kick someone in the head.
Right.
What's happening, Chris?
Hey guys, so right in here, what's up, Will? What are some of your biggest upsets you have seen? You know what I mean? And an upset,
Yeah.
I guess we kind of need to define what an upset is, right? Maybe someone that we didn't expect to
Yeah,
win,
let's
or
talk about that.
or maybe you know what, this was a tournament that all year long, let's just say even like a forms thing, right? Let's say
Yeah.
someone won almost every grand all the way, right? And
Yeah.
then the last term of the year, let's say diamonds, someone else pulls it out, and you're like, whoa. I would say it's an upset, especially when the Triple Crown was a big thing, right? In the early 90s and stuff,
Well,
you know,
why
and
don't you define it for when you're thinking upset in sport karate? What do you say?
It's two different things, right? Because for fighting, I mean, one would be, yeah, thank you, Mike.
That's a
Well,
fantastic
that's a
point.
huge, yeah.
That
When
is a great one.
Kofi is a
So when
talented, amazing, talented fighter, right? But did he ever really string together the wins that he
no,
needed to? No.
no,
He a
which
top
makes it an
level
upset.
fighter, but he had all the tools to win and to disappoint someone, right? So when
For
he
those of
beat
us listening and not watching, Mike P just said when Kofi beat Pedro,
yes,
and I think it was at Charlie Lee's. Yeah,
Kofi
I mean,
and
in Kofi, like you just said, he's a talented fighter, long, great leg.
he could
He's
do forms. He's a great
did
tricker.
do forms.
In stunts. He's in stunts
Yep,
now, right?
he's
And
explosive.
you know,
But
explosive. He kind of
Pedro,
came from a Olympic style background, so he
that's
would
right,
use those tornado kicks and those wheel kicks and different things to surprise people, right? And
right.
him beating Pedro was crazy, right? It was a thing that just nuts.
And especially, and this is what makes it an upset, because especially someone, and I don't mean it to sound bad, like him, like if Donald Brady had beaten Pedro, you
Right,
wouldn't look at that as an upset. You would look at that as just like, all right, Donald beat Pedro today. And you go, wait, what? Yeah, but it's Donald. Donald had that weird
right,
inside crescent kick. Oh man,
yeah,
really? Because
yeah,
that's something Donald does,
right,
right?
right,
Or you'd be like, Kevin Thompson beat Pedro. All of these things, when
right,
I say them, you're like, yeah, those things happen. Like if I would just say that, you'd be like, okay, yeah,
right,
that makes sense. You know,
yeah.
that I guess that could happen. You
I
know,
know for me, there's a lot of ones that happen at Diamonds because
a lot of them.
a lot of us think, and this kind of goes into our topic at the end too, and the title of the show,
Yep.
but you have someone that's won every grand or been very consistent, maybe won most of the grand championships throughout a year,
Mhm.
right? And then
Yep.
all of a sudden, the biggest one at the end of the year, they don't win. That's like a big shock. And it may not even be that person that beat them wasn't at that same level, but it was an upset because it was that person's year, right? You're thinking, oh, this is the year they're going to win the diamond because they're on a streak, they're on a
I got
roll.
a couple of those that I'm thinking of
So,
too.
I mean, yeah, I have several. I'm going to go ahead with one. So, one for me in a forms aspect was the 1993. It was actually two of them that happened at the same tournament. The 1993 Diamonds. Okay, so
I
we
know
have
this.
Dave McCumber who
Yes.
wins the men's, and we have Don Santa Maria who wins the women's. Both of them, that was like their first grand championship that they have
Right.
won. Okay. Especially against that high level of competition of like a Christine Bannon Rodriguez. And I think that was the first time that Elsa didn't win, right? The grand
Yeah.
for the women's. Dawn San Maria, daughter of Joyce San Maria, was a member of Metro. That was a huge one there, Mike. Yeah, we'll get to that one as well.
Wow.
She, a Japanese forms competitor at that time, which we didn't really see in the women's aspect winning as much. It was more of the Taekwondo or Christine Rodriguez winning with her soft style. We saw kind of that. On the men's side, this was really the first time in a long time a men's Korean kind of started winning again. And McCumber was always solid. But
His looked always so strange because he did that 1, 2, 3 thing. He did that 1, 2, 3, boom, and then brought his hand down and then did the kick. I thought that was cheesy.
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
I always liked McCumber though, man, because he had his kicks and everything. He had some style. It was cool.
Yeah,
But at the
no,
same
the kicks
time,
were great,
at the
but that
same,
thing
at the
was
same
cheesy.
time, he's going against Ho Young Pak, right? He's going against
Yeah.
Richard Brandon. He's going against Chris Casamassa. He's going against Gabe Bernaga. All these guys that are high level and on a roll, right? And so for him to beat those guys, and same thing with Don San Maria, it was just crazy for it to both happen at the same time. And to me, I'll always put those up there as biggest upsets for forums, right? Let's talk about this one that Mike P is talking about. Yes, when Kay beat Jody at the Bluegrass Nationals, and yes, Kay was a senior and Jody was in his prime. That was, what year was that? It was 90.
8?
I think it was 98. Yeah, because was it the year before? No, that might have been I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Donald, you're right. Dave was great, man. Dave was awesome. And then after that, he kind of got a string of some other ones he won at like Denver and some different ones there. And then before he kind of hung it up. There was another one though where Terry Kramer won like the year before. Terry Kramer won, and I'm thinking,
This is where my timeline gets a little fuzzy. I feel like it was Terry Kramer winning in 97. Because was Jotty on the TDS
98.
telecom thing?
98 was when Jotty was on TDS. 99
That's
was
what I'm
when
saying.
Jotty was on JPM in 99. So
Well, then it was okay. Maybe it was
yeah,
that.
I'm trying to remember this one too because I feel like because Terry I think won in 98. Okay, so 99 was actually when KA won. Kevin, yeah, it was 99 because
Okay.
this was the string when Bluegrass, the overall grand, was won by a senior fighter almost every year in a row. Because the next year, Pacheco won in 2000.
That was a good one.
Yeah, so there was a lot of things.
I like that
There
guy
was a
so
lot of
much.
there was just so many where the senior won. Because yeah, and Terry Kramer won in 98, 97. It might have been AP, but actually it might not. That might have been the year that one of the others won. But I know Tony beat Pedro that year on stage. Tony Young did. So there were so many. AP won 2 years. So that tournament was always cool to me because you would see a senior fighter somehow pull it out, right? All right. Mike P has some good. Brady has some good ones. All right.
Well, I got a couple of them.
Yeah, give me a couple other ones because we can go on and on for here. So, and I have a lot
Here's
more.
one. And I forget. I honestly forget the
Yes,
opponent's name, but I can
that's right,
visualize.
John.
I can see it right now. It is 2005. It is the Quebec Open, and
Oh, this is the one with Raymond.
this is the one. This is the one. Right. So Ray is on the straight up experience, right? And maybe it's not. I don't want to say when he was his best because I think Ray continually just got better and better, right? He really did. But I think and he knew and Ray knew it. Ray could go halfway and still beat the field with the exception of a few guys, right? This is
Right.
2005 that we're sitting in right now. I mean, remember, I don't think like Ross Levine doesn't even enter the adults until 2006, right? And even then it took him a
2005 at the end of the season was when he
end of the
entered.
season, but they didn't fight each other until 2006.
Right.
So, I mean, and even then it took him a couple of years to get to where he was really like, no, I can beat this guy, right?
Yeah.
So so at that time, like Ray could kind of do whatever he wanted. So
Sure.
let's get to where this is. So we're there, and Ray is fighting, and guys, he is fighting a cheeseburger. He is straight up. This guy is a cheeseburger, and for those of you guys who don't know or maybe forgot what a cheeseburger is someone who doesn't even know that they don't belong, that they're outclassed, right? A cheeseburger would be a guy who wears shin pads on the outside of his uniform, right? A cheeseburger, they might wear their cup on the outside. This guy is not to that level, but he's not to that level, but he definitely is not good. And he's not even really a point fighter. He's a kickboxer, right? He's a German kickboxer, and he's not good. Like any decent person who could take, third place in their division would make short work of this guy. So Ray's just kind of like, so Ray also is nice in the sense that where when he sees that, like, all right, this guy's a cheeseburger, he won't kill them, right? He will beat them and have some fun, right? So Ray, boom, boom, dive bomb, blips, got him, But then Ray starts doing like a slow spin kick because this guy's doing like skip kicks, like skip side kicks, right? So Ray like goes to do like a spin hook kick, and it's so like slow. Ray's like, I'm just gonna tap this guy, and gives the guy time to duck, right? And so the guy ducks, and Ray sees that he ducks. That's how athletic the guy is, right? So Ray misses the spin kick, and when you miss a spin kick that you think you're going to make contact on, you kind of lose balance. So Ray back fists the guy with the other hand, and they don't give it to him. So all right, Ray's. So Ray
That's
like, all right, I'll blitz him again. Ray's got 3 points, whatever. All right, got 3 points. So then Ray goes to like do a blitz again, but he's not really paying attention, and the guy side kicks him. Right, just a normal defensive sidekick. Like, oh, I got a sidekick, and Ray kind of, shrugs his shoulders, like, whatever. And then the guy skips sidekicks, pushes Ray, and then Ray goes to step in and jam, and it hits him in the mouth.
Oh God!
And then time runs out, and Ray loses 3-4.
Wow!
Against a guy who really had no business being in the same room, right? And that is one where I'm like, listen, if there's an upset, that's
definitely.
I don't even know the guy's name.
Man,
Call something German cheeseburger. I don't know.
German cheeseburger. All right, Brett shares
I don't know.
Brett shares one that I always think about as well. It was the 1992 Super Grands, and this. At this time in NBL, like Jerry Fontenot is like not only like one of the top fighters, but he's like become kind of like the face of the NBL in the early 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
And that year was kind of like, okay. Oh man, how did I forget his name? He was kind of the one to beat. He beat everybody. He beat everyone in the heavyweight bracket, which was where all the hard people were. You would think, right?
He was the guy.
Maxime, all right, he's not the lightweight fighter. He's not the super lightweight fighter. He's like the flyweight fighter, the 124 and under fighter. Oh my gosh,
okay, I hate these guys.
All right,
I hate
like
them so much.
Super tiniest, right? So fast, everything.
Worst.
And Jerry, I think, is the light heavyweight at the time, right? So it's just like, okay, well, this was cool. He made it this way. That's nice, and you're going against Fontes with his kicks and everything.
So basically, Jerry gave him the same treatment that I was just talking about with Ray.
I don't know if it was like that, though.
Okay? Oh, okay.
I was not there, so I didn't get to see
I've never heard of the story, so I'm hearing it for the first time.
And Maxime wins the overall grand at Super Grands overalls, okay? At the 1992 Super Grands, beating the most favored fighter, probably the most favored fighter at that time. It was huge. It was a huge upset. I never really saw the guy again. Okay. I'm sure he competed more in Canada and stuff, but yeah, that was a huge one. Okay. Definitely
aggravating. Like a guy does something like that where they win the whole thing. And then they just be like, you know what?
I did it all.
I think I'm going to go play shuffleboard now. Like,
yeah.
What?
Right.
All right. I'm going to rifle off a couple that aren't going to have a huge story, but are definitely, these are upsets. Number one, and I've never been able to stop thinking about it since that day, which is almost 30 years ago. Kingston Ing beating Carmichael Simon at the 94 Diamonds.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I
knew it was going to be one of the ones you had. I knew it was. Kingston Ing. Fast forward now. Let's fast forward to right now. Right? Remember, guys, Kingston Ing was Jeff's greatest forms kicker of all time. Should have been. Jeff should have put himself. Jeff put himself number 2. But either way, that's Kingston Ing. And in Kingston Ing's sidekick is that good, right?
But you got to remember, people didn't know Kingston Ing then. This was really the breakout thing that put Kingston Ing on the map for the next 2 years, right? People didn't really, it was like, whoa, that's cool. I'm glad he won. He won at Diamonds. That's awesome, man. That's great. Like, because again, for him to win his division, he had to beat Bernadette. He had to beat Brian Ruth.
Yeah, he had people to beat.
Peter
but
Londe,
they weren't Carmichael Simon.
And so he He makes it on stage. And then Carmichael's going for his third Triple Crown, right? All he has to do is win this grand, right? And
And what
Carmichael
he did, it's not just that, it's
goes and does the
what
crow.
Carmichael did. Carmichael did one of the most recognizable, iconic performances in martial arts history.
Right.
I mean, it is amazing what that performance was. I think the people who were in that room or even like heard of it or saw a video of it, if you told them that Carmichael, if they didn't already know, and you told them like,
Right.
yeah, actually Carmichael didn't win that, they'd think you were lying to them.
Well,
right?
because to most people, that's one of his most iconic performances, right? And then for
Yeah.
people to wait, he didn't
Well,
win that.
maybe the next year, but yeah.
Yeah, but again,
yeah.
But again, like for that, so here's the deal. Carmichael was funny. He did an NBL performance at an ASCA tournament. All right. So what did you expect? All right. That was an NBL thing. All right. Dressing up, doing something like that was something that you saw all the time at NBL.
But that's why I think it was even more impactful.
Oh, it was great. I'm just
if
telling
he did
you.
that at an NBL tournament, I don't know that it would have been that remembered. Remembered.
All right, maybe to the people there, they would have remembered it big time, and then you would have had a lot of people copying it, right? All right.
Yeah.
Because
I've told you. Good point.
At the same time that he was doing, we're talking about '94, right? In NBL, Butch Tokasala was walking to the ring with the Undertaker music and falling into a coffin after he did his form. Okay. All right. He did a death drop into a coffin. All right. And then the Super Grands, I think right after that, he goes to do his form and he's from, he has like an Islander, Pacific Islander type heritage. Right. And he has people from his team and his school doing like almost like the fire dancing type thing before he does. And then he does his flying combo form in that outfit. All right. There's so many things that were that's just cool. Right. And you didn't see that in NASCA. All right. So for Carmichael to kind of do something like this was way left field. All right. It was something maybe you saw some people do in PKL in like the 90s. Like Adam Keister and Cody Gilbo did something one time, and they both did these. They both did these forms, all right. And I think Cody Gilbo had like a fake machine gun and he like goes to throw it like this, and it slings out and hits some little girl in the head. It was like this is like in the early 90s, yeah. So he never lived that one down. Okay, but yeah, so. I don't know. It was awesome. Carmichael says that he heard the judges thought it was a demo.
But
so they didn't
really even then, no, I don't give the judges that much of a pass because if you're like, all right, I saw that, but I have to give a score. I mean, whatever. All right, I got another one. Okay. Go. And this is also end of the year type of like the way you described it, like, all right, dominated through the year. And this is one where you had to be there to see this one. If you looked up in the record books, you wouldn't even find this record because they were juniors. 2001 girls forms grand. Jenny Johnson Blanchard was all that. Okay. Nicole Hammermill. No one knows her name. Right. And I'm going to say something not great about her, but listen, it's upset. She didn't even beat Jenny. She tied with Jenny. And Jenny still, and anyone around who knows Jenny, I'll take that as an L, right? That was an L. That tie was a straight up, because I'm going to tell you, the girl won her division. I don't know how. I'm not going to start talking about her technique. I just don't know how that form won a black belt division. There was a runoff.
Okay.
I mean, somebody got left out. I don't know how she wasn't it. What in the wild world of sports? And I'll tell you what it was. And this happens. Listen, there's just certain areas when you said people just have their tournaments. That girl, she's from Wisconsin, which you would think that doesn't mean nothing. Right? Jenny's from NK. This is the
Yeah.
Diamonds. I don't know why, but it actually holds more weight. You're from Wisconsin. For some reason, it holds more weight. And it did. And they freaking tied. And then they did their forms again.
Yeah.
And they tied to get like what? They both went to get the heck out of here. Right? Even her and her mom were like, I didn't think I should have. Like, yeah, you think? I know you shouldn't have. Right? One of those. All right.
Oh man. All right, hold on. We
Go.
gotta share some of the ones that Mike P is talking about right now. All right, so Mike P, I know you're talking
old.
You're talking about Karate Do USA. So yeah, I'd say because Metro was so like they were known as like the top team, but that was
Right.
Karate Do USA's, I think their third. No, they won 3 years after that. You're right. So that was their first one. Then they won 93 and 94. Karate Do USA. Yeah, and we talked about Max Langlois winning the NBL overalls. Yeah, and yeah, Karate Do USA, but they end up winning 3 years in a row. So start out as an upset. They kept and sticking with it. So those guys, Karate Do were a big team back then. Mike P talks about him. This sounds awesome. He beat Mafia, Brent Beatty, John Payton, and Mike Smith at compete in '93.
See, here's the thing.
What is that stretch? That's insane.
Yes. I think
listen,
if Mike doesn't say the year in which it happens, it doesn't seem like an upset, right? Because if you look at that, if you look at all those names, Mafia, Brent Beatty, John Payton, Mike Smith, and Mike Pombiero, just say those names.
Right.
Who's the best fighter out of all those names? It's Mike Pombiero. It's Mike Pombiero.
I don't know.
I know. It's Mike Pombiero.
Mike
Pombiero is the best.
It would be, Mafia
if he says the year,
or Ibby.
I say it's Mike Pombiero. But if he says the year, then you go, okay, now that makes a bit more sense, right?
Right. Well, that's what I mean, because that was him just kind of getting into the fold, right? And say, yeah, Mike agrees with me too. Mafia.
He has to say that because he can't say, "Oh no, I'm the best." He has to.
Yeah, but
I get it.
All the time. I get to talk to Mike Pombiero. Do you remember Mike Pombiero when he was competing? Oh, he always say he was the best. He's the best, man.
This is true, but he'd say it in the smoothest Bruce Willis type of way.
Exactly. Oh man! All right, give me a couple others.
All right, I got some more.
Two more.
Okay, now this one. This one's going to take a minute. So, Kodak Ray has a diamond ring.
Oh yes, yeah. This is definitely.
And in 2012, he beat Zolt Barati.
Yep.
Did he? But did he?
Let's not get into that.
I'm not going to get into it, but here's what I'll say.
He
Watch
won,
the
man.
video. Watch the video. And I'm not 100% certain that the flags went the right direction. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'll say about that one.
What? That's huge. Kodak has a diamond ring, bro. And
Kodak
you know,
has a diamond ring.
Though, he deserves it. That dude worked so hard. He went to every freaking tournament.
He had the best jump back fist that there was. It wasn't because he did it not offensively.
Yeah.
He didn't even do it like a defensive, like fading away one. He literally jumped straight up and would do it. Right. I got caught by it before. Right. it's so odd the way it happens, yet it works all the time. Yeah. All right. But I'm going to stay in that same camp. And this one is a straight upset that you're like, I don't even know how this happened. James Port beating Jack Felton at the Diamonds.
Yeah.
And that
was a big comeback too. That was one of the biggest comebacks.
Massive. Jack
what
was
the
up.
Score? I was trying to find that the other day online, and I couldn't find it.
Jack was up 7 in the first round.
Right. Because I found the other.
No, he was up 8. No. I'm sorry. He was up by 8 in the first round.
8, right, in the first round. Yeah, that's where. Because I put that up there on Facebook the other day about the biggest comebacks, and that was the one I was thinking of. The year, or I think it was the year before, 2 years before. Honestly, Raymond came back down by 5 against Jack and won, but that was a little bit different. But James coming back down by 8, like that was crazy.
And it felt different. because
Yeah.
when Jack was fighting in that first round, everyone felt like this is absolutely, he was dominating. Like
Yeah.
Jack did whatever he wanted, scored on whatever he wanted. He had an answer for everything James did. And when he didn't do something, Jack scored. Like there was nothing
Yeah.
James could do, and there was nothing Jack could do wrong. And it couldn't have been more different in the second round.
Yeah. Two completely different fights, right?
It was amazing. Oh, but here's one, and it doesn't sound like an upset though. But that basically exact same thing happened when Jack fought Elijah Everill at the 2020 Irish Open.
Right.
Jack was up by a significant amount in the first round. Second round, Elijah's a totally different fighter, and Jack didn't do much different. It's his opponents. I don't know. Does Jack have that in him? Like he just makes people better by fighting him? I don't know. Right? He's one of the
Right.
greats. All right, but here's a real one. This one's legit, and I'll have as many more as you need to go. All right, 2010 Austrian Classic. Gregorio Delio legitimately beats Raymond Daniels, and this is 2010.
Right.
2010 Raymond Daniels. Gregorio Delio internationally was probably the best fighter in the world, right?
Yeah.
Wearing that goofy pink headgear, right? And he had perfect angles. I mean, perfect angles. And it was just so polar opposite styles. It was just so different. But I mean, like they use same techniques to score, but like we've all seen Ray's technique. Ray operates great in lots of space. And a lot of times when people want to like take that away from him, they crowd him and they try and get in there. Well, Ray would have eaten him alive if he tried to do that, but he didn't do that. So, he just, oh, man, you got to watch this. Watch that video, guys, and tell me that
Yes,
you're
you
like,
do, Mike.
you'll start screaming at your screen.
You do. You
But
wear pink hair.
no, I don't know why his looks weird. I'm not gonna lie. Gregorio Delio is a great
All right.
fighter. He's great. I'll tell him, but he has a weird headgear, man.
I'm gonna do one more that was one, and I think these two are great fighters, but I think when you hear as far as like someone's pedigree and someone's legacy, right? It's bigger than
Yeah,
the others, right? And that
yeah,
was the Junri internationals where Harry Carter beat Johnny Tension, okay, for the overall. All right. So
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
and we're not saying Harry Carter is an amazing fighter, one of the best.
But he ain't
Love
no
watching.
Johnny Tension.
But in the long grand scheme of things, Johnny Tension has beaten more people consistently than Harry has, right? But Harry still is one of my favorites to watch because this dude, if you haven't watched Harry back in the day, his bow form, it was always fun to watch,
Yeah,
right? It was fun and clean. And then he was able to fight just pretty much anybody, right? But Jody, and this is that 97, 98 Jody, where Jody was coming into his own and was becoming the super fighter, right? And so for him to
lots of
lose
kick
that,
from Johnny.
that was a big upset. So definitely a cool one there. So all right.
I got another one that's it's a little different.
Okay. And then let's go
It's a
into our
year.
next.
It's basically a year worth of upsets, and it's Hamid Feruzzi, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So Hamid Feruzzi was like pretty good. I mean, if you weren't there at the time and you didn't really watch it, and you're like, I don't understand I don't know how to compare that. If you were to compare that, I don't know that there's a comparable fighter. I really don't. I mean, because his style of fighting was almost like an early '90s style of fighting, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and yet he's fighting in the mid 2000s and the late 2000s, right? So all of 2007 was his breakout year. But let's look at, he beat Jason Borelli 3 times that year.
Right.
Like when he beat him the first time, I remember, because it was at the Charlie Lee Nationals, the last one, or the World Series of Martial Arts, sorry. World Series of Martial Arts and the Rolex Challenge. The last one that there was. Oh no, it couldn't have been. Maybe it
Go
was.
ahead. Doesn't matter.
He did, but he beat him, right? And Charlie on the mic goes, "You just witnessed a major upset." And we didn't, and I don't talk to Muhammad afterwards. He didn't take no disrespect. It is a
Yeah,
major
it is.
upset.
Yeah, right,
He knew what it was. Like, I'm fighting Jason freaking Borelli. I'm
right,
not supposed to win. I can win. I know how to win. I have to have my best fight to win. And he did
right.
it.
Now it's time to
That's
make
where
it
you're
happen.
like, man, that's where you're like, man, you did an awesome job. But we would have said that to him if he didn't win, because it's like, you fought Jason freaking Borelli. What are you gonna do? Right. So,
Right.
and so many times, like, fighters will be in a situation like that where, like, nobody's gonna look bad at you if you lose to, man, you lost to Trevor Nash. What are you gonna do, man? It's Trevor Nash. What are you gonna do?
Right.
You
Right.
lost to Cam Dawson. It's Cam Dawson. What are you gonna do? But
Right.
he didn't do that. He beat him then. He beat him at the battle, and he beat him at the Diamonds. And the crazy part is he dropped him every single time. Like,
Right.
just the craziest overhand rights right between the eyes.
Wow.
It was crazy. And then after that, he pretty much was one of the best fighters in the country.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. This is a great topic. We could go on and on. We probably went a little bit longer than what we should on that one. All
That's
right.
true.
And we may even go into this more next week or another time. But actually, let's get right into, because this kind of all goes together. What do we do in September? What are we doing right now? How do you finish the season right? Okay. And this is really like, because this is September. Most of us are getting ready for Diamonds, or we're getting ready for WKC Worlds, or we're getting ready for WKU Worlds, or you have WACO Worlds coming up, or some people have World Combat Games coming up. There's a lot of things on how to end this year. Then after that, you got the Pan Ams, and you got Toronto. You got different events to finish this year. Some people have been building everything to get to there, right? Maybe they're trying to finish and win a NASCA title, right? Finish their points to do that. Maybe they're trying to win their first grand of the year. Maybe they're trying to win the Triple Crown, there's something that people are trying to do to finish up the season. Some people feel like, oh, after US Open or summer, it's kind of over. Those are the ones that don't finish winning the diamond ring or winning more than, after that, right? So what are some things that either you do in September or you do right now to finish this season right? And again, guys, like, we want to hear some comments. What are some things that you do or the mindset that you have as well? Like, listen, we have Mike Pompeo, we have Donald Brady watching the show. We got Andrew Cowan. We got a lot of heavy hitters here watching the show. So
Heck yeah. Well, I think the hard part is that in our sport, both on the forums and the fighting side, you can win without actually doing a great amount. Like, okay, if you and I are fighting, and okay, like, we use the upsets, right? We had a whole list of upsets, right? Where, look at Ray lost to that cheeseburger. That stuff can happen, right? So we understand that, like, yeah, all it takes is one extra strike and I can win, right? I was 1 point away. I don't have to dramatically change everything. All I need was that 1 point, just that extra burst. I could have had it.
It's
right?
the small little things, right?
And it's that mindset that sometimes people think I don't have to dramatically change everything because I already had it doing what I was doing. That's the dangerous part, right? And on the forum side too, because sometimes, bobbles happen, right? So you're like, oh man, I was just a little bobble. I had it, right? Just that little bobble. I don't have to dramatically change everything because without that bobble, I beat everybody. And that's the dangerous part. You really, to level up a little bit, takes a dramatic amount of work. It really does, right?
Oh yeah, it does. It does. I mean,
yeah.
Like Mike P said, skip the holidays. That's an idea right there.
Yeah.
Use the holiday as a time to train, right?
Yeah.
And what we're talking about with the bobbles, this is very similar to what Carmichael was saying. Take the best choreography that worked for you during the year and create a new form. Find that favorite track of the year that you have been wanting to perform to. So you're
Now
saying
that's
the
a
music
true performer talking right there
and
too.
that's the key. And that's, to me, is where, even with the small bobble, the choreography, the presence, the moment is bigger than any little issues. And that's where you'll see sometimes it'll be, oh, we had a small little bobble. Yeah, but the whole package overrode that's where it wasn't as big of a deal as it could have been,
Right.
because you over prepared. You
If
thought about,
you
how am I going to make this moment bigger than it can be? You know,
if you're a
I
fighter
don't know if
and
people
you
think that
fight,
way about
if you're a fighter and you fight mistake free, it's
Mhm.
really hard to beat you. It is really, really hard to beat you. You don't have to be like extremely fast. You don't have to be a phenomenal kicker. You don't have to have like incredible power, right? You don't have to be intimidating. If you fight mistake free, man, it is really hard to beat you. Somebody's going to have to come out with some like magical stuff, right?
Right.
Because if you play the math right and you do everything you're supposed to do and you don't make mistakes, they had to fight out of this world, right?
Mhm.
But you're like, and if that happens, you're like, what the heck was I going to do with that? All right. How's I supposed to know a guy was going to jump behind me? Whatever he does, who knows, right? That would be
Those
crazy if someone did that, though,
stuff.
right?
That's Jackie Chan stuff. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, obviously, control distance and timing. I mean,
but
it's the
but
basic things.
I think getting to your point a little bit more though was,
Yeah.
what do we do for training now? Listen,
Now.
I'm going to say something a little different. I think the early spring, like well, mid spring and early fall are actually people's favorite time of year. I think people try to say like, no, it's the summer. It's not actually the summer
No, no,
because
no,
nobody
no.
likes 240 degrees of heat. People hate that, right? Nobody's
Exactly.
outside. People hate it. That's why they do our activity, because we're in air conditioning, right?
Right.
But anyway, but when the seasons change, like I loved it. I mean, when the summer would end, I would actually get excited. I'm like, this is it, man. We got
Right.
these events, we got kapow, 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 kapow. And like you said, a fair amount of times, like we finished with the diamonds, like this is it. And
Right.
then after that point, like there's a whole nother different mindset, which we'll get into maybe another
Well,
episode
yeah,
where
I
we
mean,
get
for
into
me,
it.
again, I've told you just my struggles with going from NASCA to
I
NBL
know
and having to figure
that would
that
be hard.
3-month change, where really at that time too, the last term of the year was always in either the first week of September or the last week of August. And then they would give you until November to do Super Grand. So you had like 2 to 3 months of training, right? And the thing is, I was still doing NASCAR at the same time. So
So you
I
never
was
had it
thinking,
off.
it's time to get ready for diamonds and whatever else. Empire State sometimes was then. Battle ended up being then a lot of times in
Yep.
some of those years. So it was a lot to kind of stay in there in that mindset. For me, staying in that competition mindset is key. It does help, but you do need that 3-week kind of time to relax and focus on bringing out something like Carmichael said, especially for forms. What's something that people don't expect, right? What's something that on stage, even if it wins or doesn't, you're going to be remembered. Like
And I think that's it. I think what you're saying for forms,
right,
I think that's being remembered is a big deal. For fighting,
yeah,
it's I have to get past this guy who's trying to hit me.
right,
I
exactly,
can't think about doing something that's going to be remembered. I need to win because this guy's going to try to hurt me at the
right,
same time, right?
right,
So, I mean, that's the great thing. Like if you win, you'll be remembered,
yeah,
Fighters
exactly,
sometimes are pretty boring.
yep,
But I mean, I call it Avery Plowden champ all the time. This guy for years just smacked people with back fists, and it was the greatest back fist in the world. You know what I mean? But we remember him because he
cool.
wins.
Stop believing you are the first to do the move because it has already been done. Just work on the transitions between sections to maintain flow state. Also, stop taking too many breaks. It breaks continually. Okay.
He's right about the too many breaks. He's
Carmichael.
right on.
Is he talking about breaks as far as in competing, or are you talking about breaks in the form?
I was saying breaks in the form.
And see, I'm the opposite way because I think there's so many juniors right now that don't do that, and they just go, 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 and there's
Oh,
nothing
well,
like
yeah, when you're 14, that's all you know.
stop and breathe, and like what we talked about that intensity, right? There is
Between
that
sections.
yes,
See, he
between
was talking
sections.
about that.
Yes, you need to, but again, this is something that his era did well, my era did well, and they don't have that because I don't think they're really training sections the way that we used to. It was
No.
that I was teaching someone tonight. Okay, we're gonna go and do this big technique. Well, we
Yes.
need to get them pumped up for this big move. Like, where is the setup? This to get them excited for what you're doing. I don't feel like we see that as much anymore, right? It's just go, go, go,
No,
go,
but
go,
they
go, go,
don't.
go.
I think it's both a plus and a minus. So I think we
Yes,
also
if you
did
do it right.
this because at that time, let's just put ourselves in the 90s, right? For the moment. And people might make fun of us, but like if you're gonna do a 720, listen, that was the shit, right? In the mid 90s. If you were gonna do that, like you were the coolest person on the planet. We weren't that we guys weren't as good. They were not as good. So they had to have a big buildup, a big shuffle axe kick, and then another big gather, and then you do a 720, right? Maybe the
Yeah.
kick was really good, maybe the kick wasn't, but we still were like, oh my gosh, you spun twice. Did you believe that? Yeah. So this actually, they don't do that anymore because guys are, I'll even say kids. Kids are so good right now, they can do it without that. They can do a pop 1080, right?
I don't see anyone doing it though. So
Yeah,
here's
nobody
the deal.
does it because they do different,
One,
because they do the
one
different ones,
Yeah,
right?
they're all doing the same thing though. Here we
Oh,
go. Go back
that's
into
also
this.
true.
All
I'm
right.
trying to I'm
So
trying to give the kids credit. You're
they
cutting
no,
them
they have
down.
credit, but this is where it takes different. You have to understand. You have to hype something up a little bit, right? To make you. It's like pre-framing, like when you're talking to
Well,
people
you're
at
absolutely right on that. You
you have
do
to
have to
pre-frame
hype it
it a
up.
little
You're
bit.
right.
You have to do something to get them excited about it, and then after they do it, pause. Like, yeah, did you see what I just did? A lot of times, there's so much going on, the judges can't even comprehend what all happened. It's just bundled
Oh,
together.
there's
So
100% of that.
so you have to really work on the dramatic effect while still keeping it flowing and then go in there. It can't have long pause, but the pauses have to have meaning and there has to be intensity with it. So there's my rant again. But so we're all over the place on this.
But
Yeah.
as far as
Thank you
what
there,
I
Brett.
would,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I just talked, but I didn't actually say anything yet. But as far as
good.
training in this season,
So,
I would agree a little bit. It's like, listen, you just gotta, if this is what you want and it's right now, you can you can have a dramatic turnaround in a short amount of time if you apply it that
yes.
way, right? You
Yes. Yes.
absolutely can, right? Forms or fighting, you can have a dramatic turnaround if almost everything you think about is that thing, right? If
Mhm.
that's it. So if you're having a really tough time covering ground, if you just can't cover ground, you'll be able to do it, but it will take everything you have, right? It'll
Right.
take every single day, right? Doing resistance band training. We're like, I can't cover ground. Every time I go to kick at somebody, they just either step in or step away, or they just, jam me in between. They defensive punch me because I can't get to them. Right. Okay. Well, if you're going to do it, either you got to dramatically change the way you fight, which you're not going to do, you know,
Right.
3/4 of the way through the season, right? Or you're gonna have to do what you do a whole bunch better, right? Because you could be a
So
great kicker, you could be a
zone
great
in on
kicker, but if your kick doesn't go above the shoulder, you're not great, right? It's
right.
easy to stop you if your foot never goes above the shoulder, right? Think about this: if my hand is at my shoulder, my hand is low. My hand is low. It's not even up, right? And right now I'm stopping your highest point of your kick. It's really easy to beat you, right? And then
Right.
it's going to sound negative, but it just is what it is. So,
Yep.
since you're not going to change your fighting style probably ever, Fine. We need to change how effective and skilled you are. Your skill needs to improve a dramatic amount. There are people, hell, Jeff's one of them, right? Who can say, all right, being a great kicker is hard to do, but it is simple. It is simple. You're going to hate it. You're going to think you can't do it. I'm going to tell you what to do. It's going to suck because you don't know how to do it, right? It's whatever. Listen, I'm going to tell you one thing. I might have said this on the show once before. Okay? I've always felt like, listen, in the classroom, I'm the best, right? I will be better than anybody. I will be better. So Roman Brundle came to train with us, right? He came in town. I was not prepared, right? This dude's warm up, I giggled at. And I'm like, it was a pretty long room. And he's like, I'm like, listen, bro, we'll do kind of whatever you want to come in. You're coming in. When he came in, it was a really informal workout. Guys were just hanging. We were just Josh and we were having a good time. And he's like, he was not wanting that. He wanted a lot of structure. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. This is what I would do. This is clearly not what you want to do. A fair amount of leg training. Let's just go through a warm up. And here's what he says. He goes, okay, let's do this. Let's just go to one end of the room. Remember, this room is really long, right? And he goes, pick your foot up and it has to kick and you're going to, slide and kick. And every kick has to be at your head or higher. Like, okay, I got you. And you're going to kick all the way down to the end of the room. And you're going to have a partner down there and he's going to have his hands up and you're going to do a double kick, whatever double kick you want. No problem. Double kick. All right, I got you. And he goes, you do not drop your chamber. Your chamber stays at the head. And you turn and you go back the way you came. Your knee can never drop. If you drop, you have to start over. Like, okay, I've done things like this. And he goes, but you have to start all the way over from one because you're going to go all the way down the long end of the room. You meet your guy at the end, double kick, keep that chamber up. Then you turn around. The chamber's still up. And you slide all the way back and you got another guy behind you all the way at the back of the end of the room where you started. Do a double kick there. That is lap 1. 10 laps.
Oh, God.
Your knee can never drop. If your knee drops at any point, you start all the way back over at 1.
Jesus.
That was the warm up.
Right.
I'm like,
all right.
What the hell? What the hell are we talking about? Listen, I guarantee you guys, that is a great example. If you did that, you're going to be a great kicker. You're going to be amazing. I was teaching some kids because I don't teach kids the same as the same amount as I did years ago. I'm teaching my kids' class. I'm gonna tell you right now, my kids can slide kick. Well, they don't think that slide kicking is challenging for some. Right. Because we just do it. Right. With long room. And I've never once told them that it's hard. Right. So they don't think it's hard. So we're at the opposite end of the room. They got to go crisscross corner to leave the room. And we just, as fun, I go, all right, we bow out of the room. Okay. Now it's time to go. Everybody slide kick all the way to there. And they all do it. Right. And it's probably 3 rings length. And they do it because they don't think it's hard. Right. So look at Roman's drill as a warm up. I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind? I'm not going to be able to kick. Right. And I can't at that point go, I can't go. No. I certainly can't go halfway. He's in my school. Right. So I'm like, and I've always tipped my hat and like, I'm the best. Not at this one. I wasn't. But I assume I tried my ass off, and I had once it came to fighting, I had no leg, and that was one of the things that impressed me so much is how much that guy kicked in training, and then still like his foot never went down. I'm like, I don't get it.
That's awesome. So for me, when it comes to, if you want to be a great kicker, when you're doing kick drills and you feel it pinch, don't put it down. I think that's the biggest thing. You want to be a great kicker. You have to stop just because it hurts. Guess what? It hurts me too, but I'm going to keep doing it. And I think that's what I told my students tonight. It's like, hey, stop turning or dropping it or stop doing this because, oh, it's hurt. Push through that. You want to be a great kicker, you got to push through that little bit of pain and just keep going. So, hey, we ended, I think, the way we needed to.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying
All
to make
right,
everybody
man.
a better kicker.
Again, sponsored by Virtual Fight Tour. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Next week, you're going to be gone next week, right? I'm going to do, actually, guys, and anyone that wants to be a part of this, we're going to do an
Ooh, this is a
NBL
good one.
Legacy show next week with some promoters, some people that have been a part of the NBL, and talk about, just some things that we enjoyed about it, right? And I have a special presentation as well they're going to be doing along with it. So going to be a cool time, get a fun round table to discuss that, talking about just the positives of it and great memories and things that a lot of people maybe don't know about or don't talk about. So,
Or forgot.
yep.
Hey, did I tell you why I'm probably not going to be around next week?
Yeah, you have a wedding. I mean,
Yeah,
you're DJing.
I'm DJing a wedding on a Monday. And I'm going to Minnesota to do it too. It's just weird. I'm going to Canterbury Park, which is like the horse race track there, which I've also
Yeah.
never done. So I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to do this, but we'll figure it out. Yeah. And I'm going to be there all day and all night. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. Who knows? Maybe I'll throw some videos on YouTube. You guys can go. I've never even told anybody to check it out. This is how selfless I've been with that. Go check it out.
Go to
Third
your
Shift
YouTube
DJs, 3RD. It's on all the stuff. It's on the TikTok, the Facegrams, and the YouTubes. Go check it out. Like,
YouTubes,
follow,
YouTube.
subscribe, send a pigeon message to it. Who knows?
All right. See you guys.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Dawes. See you next week. Have a blessed one, guys.